Hey, it's Chuck Armstrong with Loudwire Nights, and this is Loudwire Nights on Demand. I don't know what else to say other than we gotta hang with the metal god himself, Rob Halford. This aired on Tuesday, February 6th. All hail Halford. Well, I'm not sure how to properly introduce tonight's special guest, so I'll see if I can take a shot at it. He is the metal god. He is the voice behind so many timeless and classic metal tracks. Of all time. He's one of the most iconic frontmen in the history of rock. He is a rock and roll Hall of Famer. He's a fighter for inclusiveness in the metal communities. He is the one and only Rob Halford. Rob, thank you so much for hanging tonight, man.
Hello, Chuck. Hello, everybody. Wow, those were some beautiful, profound words. That's really fired me up. I feel like $1 million now.
Well, I mean, listen, they're just words from me, man. You're the one living it all out. So thank you for that.
My pleasure, and it's good to speak with you again.
Absolutely, man. You know, it's been a few years. I think we were celebrating "Screaming for Vengeance," an anniversary for that, so you can think about how long ago that was. Yeah, that's right.
Wow. I'll tell you something about that. When you reference an album like that, my metal mind instantly goes to Ibiza, and the insanity and the craziness that went to it. It's a miracle we got that record made, as you probably heard the stories throughout the years. But yes, wow, from Screaming for Vengeance, from Rock and Roll, which turns 50 this year, to Invincible Shield in 2024. Man, what a journey. It's just unbelievable.
Man. Yeah, what a journey. And, you know, it's not like we ever need an excuse to welcome you to Loudwire Nights, but, man, celebrating a brand new record, the 19th studio album from Priest, Invincible Shield. How are you feeling? Like when you hear 19 albums, when you think about a new Priest album in 2024, how do you feel right now, man?
Oh, it's a bunch of words. It's excitement. It's blessings. It's gratitude. It's the adventure of this glorious band that's been making metal for 5 decades. It's a whole bunch of emotions that rush through your mind when you think about this band that's done so many things and is still doing things. Relevance. I'm always a strong proponent of relevance, and I've always felt that the main opportunity that makes Priest relevant in 2024 is the new metal that we're making. And here we are making new metal on, as you say, on our 19th studio album.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, man. And so, you know, since you brought up just kind of the, I don't know what we'll call it, maybe the tumultuous nature of you know, creating Screaming for Vengeance. You know, here we are talking about Invincible Shield. What was it like making this album? So you've made a few albums, Rob, over the years, and you've done a few things. But you know, as you kind of take a step back, you're preparing for the release of this record. It's wrapped up. It's ready to go. What was it like putting this one together? How did that feel?
Well, there are parts of this band that really haven't changed in the writing sense. And what I mean by that is, when we were writing the music for Invincible Shield, it was this chemistry that's created with 2 guitar players and a singer in the room together. I've said this multiple times. You start in a room with nothing, and at the end of the day, you can have a piece of music that's going to live a lot longer than you will. That's the joy of music. It lives forever. But so there it is, you know. Sit down in the room, usually over at Glenn's in England, and what have we got? Where do you start? I tell you, you bring into the room ideas that you either put down somewhere on your phone or whatever, riffs. I've got a few ideas for song titles, so on and so forth. What it is, it's spontaneity, and you let your instincts guide you. I love the spontaneity of this band because, as I've said before, we can be your painkiller or we can be your turbo lover. We haven't got anything kind of, we're not in a corral, you know. There's nothing where we say we can't do this, we can't do that. We can do anything that we feel is representative of this big metal landscape that Priest has created. So it all starts at that point, you know. And then you work hard, like every musician, every band works hard to get the best possible moment for a specific song. And then you get your ducks in a row in terms of tempo, dynamics, the flow of what will be an album, because Judas Priest is an album band. We've always been an album band. The band as you love as Judas Priest is as we want to represent ourselves here now in 2024. This is Judas Priest 2024. This isn't Judas Priest Rock and Roll in 1974. Although there's a timeline, there's a thread that holds it all together.
Absolutely.
Again, every album has its own legs to stand on, from Rock and Roller to Invincible Shield.
So, Rob, how do you I love hearing that about the spontaneity, and you certainly hear that album to album, but this long into the life of a band like Priest, how do you keep that spontaneity alive and real? Because it'd be easy to be like, all right, we're going to be spontaneous, but we know what we're doing, so here's what we're going to do to make this, sound spontaneous. How do you keep that alive?
I think the basic elements of passion, believing in the band, believing in the metal, believing in your fans, the dedication that is important, the craftsmanship that goes into making every tiny perspective of a song, from the hi-hat is 1 dB too big, take it down a dB. All of these things are really important to the final event. And Priest is an event now more than ever, especially when you see us live. But this whole thing about the perception of who you are and what you're doing and everything, all of that comes into play. I only think about these things deeply after the thing is done. While we're making the music, while we're writing the songs, while we're recording the songs, mixing, mastering, engineering, all of those things that we all dive into. Although Andy Sneap took the lead, he did a magnificent job on Invincible Shield. All of these ingredients, they haven't diminished. None of the fire hasn't gone down. The fire is stronger now than it ever was. I think because particularly from my perspective, and whenever I talk for Judas Priest. It's not a solo thing or whatever. I like to feel that I'm conveying the ideas and the beliefs that we all have in this band. So the strength and power that we have in Judas Priest seems to have gotten stronger as we've gone along. And if ever you want an affirmation of those two words, strength and power, just listen to these songs. Listen to these songs from Panic Attack to Giants in the Sky. It's absolutely glorious, man. I don't know how it's happening. It's so beautiful. It's just so built into us as people. The joy of still having Judas Priest in the world, and all of the elements that come into making this band able to do what it does. It's just remarkable. Yeah, it's great.
It really is, man. And there's just something about this record. I've had the privilege of getting to spend some time with it that I think it's what we need. I think it's what the rock world needs, man. I think the reception of the singles that have come out obviously been very positive. Fans, critics, they've been really excited about it. But more than just being excited, more than just being positive, there's something deeper here, and it's hard to describe. But it sounds like, it feels like something that we need. And maybe it's because it's been 6 years since we've had a Priest album, and so there's a lot of urgency around that. Like, here we go, we've got it finally. I think you guys have tapped into something that draws in those early days of Priest. Like you said, there's this timeline from 1974 to 2024, and yet this is new, and it is fresh, and it is exciting, and it is something we need. And I see you shaking your head as you hear some of that.
I am. I'm shaking. It's an agreement. That's really cool to hear you say those words, Chuck. I can sense the emotion as you're speaking them out, and this is the way our beautiful world of rock and roll, and I use metal in that term. That's the way we are. We are all excited. I'm excited when the new Metallica album is coming, or the new Iron Maiden album is coming. I get all fired up. I can't wait to hear it, And we need it. We need this music in our lives. It's so important to us on various levels, but it's a vital part of what makes us all tick. Music makes you tick, in the simplest way of expressing it. But it is very deep, and so I'm I understand what you're saying. It's been 6 years since Firepower, but of course, knock off a couple of years for that horrible pandemic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part. Maybe that's part of the equation. We finally got back to normal, and we're all able to just embrace all of the elements of what we love about music. Go to the shows, go
That's
to
right.
the bar, go to the club. We've got our lives back. We're back in a special place that metal gives us. It's just a very profound observation when you go deeply into it. But if you don't go deeply into it, here we are again, Priest, another studio
That's
album.
right, man. Yeah.
About to go around the world and banging our heads with millions of metal maniacs. Man, it's so full of joy, and especially now as we get to the release of the album, it's really reaching fever pitch. I texted Lars after the album came out, the new album, Metallica. I said, "Oh God, it's just so great, man! I'm just so happy for you guys." And he goes, "So I've just like let off this huge, expansive weight has gone off my shoulders because of the build-up. The build-up that the bands feel when they make new music, when they make a new album to release to your fans. It's absolutely gigantic. You can't wait to kind of let it go.
Yeah.
You just can't wait to get your music out to your fans because we know they're as excited and they're as ready for this new experience as you are to bring it to everyone." So,
well, as
yes.
a fan too, like I love hearing that, whether it's you or Lars or whoever talk about that, because you I keep saying it, but this is not new for Rob Halford. This is not new for Judas Priest. You guys have released massive records. You've toured the world. You've gone through this process, and yet here we are. You still have that feeling of, I can't wait to let this out. And I feel like, man, as a fan, that's exactly what I want you to feel. If you ever lost that feeling, then I think that's where that sincerity, that authenticity, that spontaneity, whatever you want to call it, I think that's where you start losing that.
I'd like to feel that when our fans listen to our music, they can go, "Yeah, that's my band. That's my band really taking care to give us the best experiences for this song, this song, this song." When you finally get to hear The Serpent and the King, when you finally get to hear Giants in the Sky and all of these other tracks that haven't hit the airwaves yet, when you get to hear those songs, I hope, although I think it's fair to say that our fans are going to be, doing the happy dance all over the place with the horns up.
That's right. Yes.
And what a great moment that's going to be.
Absolutely, man. And you mentioned Lars, you mentioned the new Metallica album. I mean, I'm sure you have talked about this, just so much, but we have not caught up since it. And so I want to talk about Power Trip. You talk about kind of how remarkable it is that Priest is here doing what you're doing. And, it's pretty remarkable too, to see a festival like that come together with Metallica and with Maiden and with Guns N' Roses and with Tool and with AC/DC. And I think all of these bands, they have that same feeling that you have releasing new music, playing these live shows. There is that sincerity, that genuine care for the fans. And so all these, it didn't feel like, oh, let's just get the biggest bands possible because it's a money grab and whatever. It felt like, let's get the best bands possible and let's put on the best festival ever. I mean, did it feel different to you than you've played a million shows over the years, Rob? But did this feel different or special to you as you took the stage that Saturday night for Power Trip?
The thing that wasn't lost to me was that everybody had gone to that show for all of the bands. Yes, there were Priest fans there, but those Priest fans are also Iron Maiden fans. Those Priest fans are also Metallica fans, and so on and so forth. I thought the actual music displays that the bands were giving were very far-reaching, and every person that went to that Power Trip could relate to every one of those bands, even if it's just, oh, that one song from Guns N' Roses does it for me, and I can't wait to hear that song, So it was a once in a lifetime thing. It's already become legendary, even if it's less than a year on. It just had so much impact. What it was for us was it was beautiful because we all know each other. I wish there could have been a moment. Oh no, this is just, it's gone now. But I would just wish there could have been a moment where we all could have been in a room together and just talking like this.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine? Can you imagine how great that would have been? You know, because firstly, there's probably very little communication, because you look at each other and you go, I know exactly how you feel because we've both been through the same experiences.
Yeah.
You know,
you nod your heads to each other.
Yeah. You've both slept in the van. You know, you both had to make a decision of whether we're going to take this money and buy gas or food, or we're going to buy gas because we're going to get to the next gig. You know, we've all been on that life journey in music, including the very beginnings. I think that it's important to, again, not lose focus of your past, because it's a touchstone. It's made you who you are. So there's all of that going on in my mind, the overthinker, as I get there, you know, and traffic was hell. So we barely had an hour to put my turn. He's turning into the metal god. Leave him alone for an hour. I barely had time to get that all together, and then they put me in a golf buggy up to the stage, and then have a quick selfie with Steve from Iron Maiden, and then we're on the stage and we're doing the whole thing, and it did seem surreal because it was a gigantic crowd. We still don't know how many people were there, but it wasn't lost on me that here was Judas Priest in the company of all of these greats in rock and roll. You know, that this was happening over 3 days. Never going to happen again at this level, and felt so grateful and blessed that we had the opportunity given to us. So there's all that, and then, you know, afterwards I quickly give Brian a hug from AC/DC, and I remind him that this has been 40 years since AC/DC and Judas Priest prayed together.
Wow!
The last time was 40 years ago in Europe. And, oh my God, I can't believe it. There's all that going on. Then we go backstage, and then all of Metallica come back, and we're hanging out. And so that camaraderie, that friendship that exists amongst all those bands is just fantastic.
Well, and I love seeing after the fact too, you know, videos start popping up on social media, but and I'm sure you've seen this. I'm sure, you know, hundreds of people have sent this to you, but seeing the Metallica guys, not side stage, not backstage, but in the crowd watching Priest. That Saturday night, I just, you know, James, and not just watching, but soaking it in as a genuine fan. You know, he's not watching it as a rock star or a superstar. He's watching it as a Priest fan, just soaking it in. And that, to me, like, that captured kind of the special, that once in a lifetime power of that festival, that a guy like James would be in the crowd and just like it's his first time going to a rock show, just soaking this in as best as he can.
They're just great people. They're so real. The biggest metal band, or biggest band in the world, and they're so real and down to earth. But I would say that that's the same as everybody. You know, to a degree, we all have different ways of wanting to be seen off stage. But that was I couldn't. In fact, I didn't know it was happening, because when I'm on stage, we have this thing you've probably heard about bands going, oh, it's a day in the office. You're at work and you're so focused on your work, you're not even looking. And I didn't even know the guys were there.
Yeah.
You know, I had no clue until people were saying, after like 2 or 3 days later, I saw it popping up on my social media. Oh my God, there's Kirk doing air guitar to another thing coming, or Rapid Fire or whatever it was. And I'm like, man, this is such a pure display of the simple joy of music and how it reaches all of us, regardless of where we are in the world of rock and roll, band to band. There's just such a pureness there, as music should be, you know.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I can't go stand in the crowd, man. Don't you know who I am? None of that's in Metallica. You know, they're at the front, and they're banging away, and the fans are behind them, and it's just wonderful. So, you know, I was saying to them afterwards, you know, I'm so grateful for that, and they'll be the first to profess their love of Priest and the inspiration that Priest gave Metallica at the beginning of their journey.
Well, Rob, if I'm honest with you, man, I kind of hate that you called it a once in a lifetime experience, because I ended up not being able to make it. And so, like I see the videos after the fact, and my mind's blown, man, seeing the pictures and the aerial shots and getting to see, thankfully with technology, I do get to see a lot of it and I get to experience a lot of it. But I knew in my head, this is a once in a lifetime thing. And then to hear you say it, I'm like, I'm kicking myself still, man.
As we're talking now, Chuck, it kind of reminds me about the way that the Oz Festival is still talked about all of these years later.
Yeah.
When you had, let's think about this, you had Motley Crue, you had Triumph, you had Van Halen, you had Priest, you had Scorpions. Am I missing anybody? Ozzy?
Yeah.
All on one day. That was the metal day, and it was the biggest day ever, over 300,000 people.
Yeah.
That is married to Power Trip all of these years later, carries the same kind of elements emotionally. It carries the same type of when people go, I was there.
That's right, man.
I have a T-shirt, Power Trip, I was there. Oz Festival, I was there. For those fans that were able to make the show. And I know I'm not even going to get into the pricing and everything else.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
That's right.
It is what it is. It is what it is, right?
Yeah. At some point, you got to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. These what it is came into my life when I'm backstage in Australia in a tent, and I can hear Slash warming up next door. I go, Slash, the heat's fucking killing me, man. He goes, it is what it is, Rob. Slash put that mantra into my mind. It is what it is. So that's the way you have to perceive some of these
that's right.
things that take place. But for those of us that were there, it was just truly a beautiful, remarkable event.
Don't rub it in, Rob. Don't rub it in, man. No, you'll see bikers with a patch on their vest that says III, and it's a reminder of it is what it is. You talking about festivals and Ozfest even. I got to catch you. What was that? Ozfest 04, and it was you and Sabbath. And I just remember that to me, I think back on experiences like what people experience at Power Trip, getting to see you on the same stage as Black Sabbath was just, it was like for me, it was that once in a lifetime experience. Obviously that tour covered a lot of ground in the country, but for me, man, at that moment, that was just one of those times where I will never forget that. I guess I get goosebumps even thinking about that.
Ozfest was a groundbreaking event, Sharon put together with the team. I wish we could have it back. I mean, we've got the Slipknot Fest and all these other fests, and they're all important.
Yeah.
It's great to see all your favourite bands banging away there on the stage one after another. It's special. It's a treat. It's a real treat. You only get that certain vibe from those kind of festival experiences. But this whole business about events, if you can make them, it just gives something different and something very memorable to take with you after the show. But that's like it is with Priest. When you see Priest now, it's an event.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not speaking complete garbage, Judas Priest is the longest. I was going to say the oldest. I hate that word, but we've been making metal for 50 years, and we're still active and we're still relevant.
Absolutely.
And so when you come to see your favorite band, Judas Priest, it is an event. Because wow, you look at these guys, and they've been doing this for so long, and they're still there for all the right reasons. We go on stage with a job to do in terms of responsibility that you have for your fans, because again, I've said this a million times, we're nothing without our fans. It's an absolute fact that any band never lose the fact that without your fans you have nothing. You can be in the biggest band in the world in a room banging away, but what good is that? It's all about sharing your creativity and making a connection, and Priest has been making that connection now for over 50 years.
Amen, man. And listen, last question. I know we got to wrap up, and I know we're covering a lot of ground too, but thinking about that connection with fans, and I can't help but thank you for the connection you have made with fans and with the community. I mean, there's no denying that you're an icon for so many reasons, and I think one of the most important reasons is for defending and creating more and more inclusivity in the rock and metal communities. And I know you've been open about that experience and how welcoming these communities are and how welcoming they can be, or how they should be. I mean, in 2024, do you still feel that way, that this is welcoming community? And that's, yeah, I see you, man.
Important.
Yes.
The head's banging again, in agreement. Vitally important. Those things that you're talking about in terms of complete inclusivity, that's what I love about our metal community. That regardless of the bands that you're into, regardless of what you look like, who you love, whatever, how much money you've got, whatever, it doesn't matter. We look at each other and we embrace each other because we love heavy metal. And I was just reading something again the other day about the importance of this particular style and sound of music. The importance reaches way further than the music does. It's a very, very important component within us. If you're a metalhead, if you're a metal fan, you know, it has all of the attributes for getting into a better mental state. It makes articulation work stronger in all elements of your life. Metal is a very, very powerful part of who we are as people. So if you want to go deep, and I do go deep.
Let's go deep, man.
That's what it does, man. That's what it does. And so when I say I love my metal maniacs, I mean that really sincerely and very purely. I think about them all the time, you know, because family is a big word to use, but that's what we create. We create this family of this heavy metal community, regardless of your band. You know, there's a special relationship. There's a special relationship with every single fan. When I look out at a crowd of thousands of people, I'm looking at every single one of you, because I know that you've taken this band's music into your life. For a lot of Priest metal fans, we're you know, the story of your life is in music. I'm not saying that properly, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know, if you've been with this band for the longest time and we play Breaking the Law, suddenly we've gone back into the 80s. We play Painkiller, suddenly we're back in the 90s. This time machine of emotions in your life is with you as right. a fan. And that's not lost on me. I really take it very, very personally. And so that responsibility of caring for your fans and looking after your fans is really important, no matter what band you're in.
Well, you set the bar, man. And so, yeah, I just, you know, I think look to you as the example of what it means to make the community like that. Because I know for me, man, and I know for everybody, that's you're right. You connect with this music, and everybody will connect differently. But when you find that family, when you find that community, and maybe it's someone you know deeply and personally, and you connect with music. Maybe it's just at the show and you're standing next to a few hundred strangers, but you're all connecting to this music together. Whatever that is, man, that inclusivity, that welcoming nature of the community, I think it has to exist. And if it ever stopped existing, metal wouldn't be what it is.
Without a doubt, 100%. I'm not going to say anything else because you nailed it. You nailed it, Chuck.
Rob Halford, the metal god. Thank you so much for your time, man. I mean, listen, to get any amount of time with you is such a privilege, and I cannot wait to see all that's to come for Priest this year and beyond, and hopefully we can catch up again soon, my friend.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Loudwire. Thank you, everybody. Stay hard, stay heavy, stay metal. Oh, yeah.
That wraps up this episode of Loudwire Nights on Demand. Stay caught up with everything happening in the world of rock and metal on the Loudwire app and at loudwire.com.